Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Mental Monday. So, this week I wanted to talk about communication. Communication is something that I think most people struggle with, or at least don't feel like they have a great handle on it. I know for me, I struggle with communication in the sense that I don't always say what I want to, and I don't always express myself. So then people around me are like, well, what are you thinking? What do you want? And while I vent a lot, I'm not good at verbally explaining my whole mental process. I can word vomit what I'm thinking out, but that doesn't always boil down to, okay, this is the point of it all. This is what I really want to get across. This is what I'm really trying to say or express. And sometimes I just don't feel like I have the right words. And I don't think this is something that always comes naturally. Humans are very social, but we're also fallen. We're also flawed. So there comes with being a social being the aspect of needing to play that dance in relationships where you're figuring each other out, figuring out how you communicate, how the other person communicates. And I think that can really complicate things and really be something that we can work on and can always try to understand better or get better at. So I have thought of the 5 best habits of communication I know would help me be a much better communicator. The first one is to really think about what you're trying to say before you speak. So really processing what you're trying to approach, what you're trying to express before attempting to express it, and form your thoughts really well so that you can explain them in the best way possible. That can look like journaling, that can look like just thinking about it. It can take a lot of forms of trying to process through something, but taking that time to really figure out what you want to say and what you're really trying to express can be a major key thing to communicating the best you can. My second habit for good communication is being a good listener. Being able to listen to what the other person says, not just to be able to form a response, but to really process what they're saying before you even consider forming a response. To really just take what they say and let it ruminate around and think about it for a second and process that before you respond or before you try to respond. When you're trying to formulate a response while they're talking, you're not actually listening. And sometimes people can say they're good listeners because they can spit back what you said to them, but that doesn't actually mean they're a good listener. That means they physically heard, but did not mentally hear. And there are 2 levels of hearing. Physically hearing with your ears, and then mentally hearing it, and really considering and processing what you heard physically that person say. My third habit of good communication is to be open. Be honest about how you feel in the nicest way possible. You don't have to be rude. If somebody is doing something that you don't think is smart, or if somebody needs to hear something that you don't know if they've actually heard, or give them advice that they won't like hearing, or bring up a problem in your relationship with them that you don't feel good about, or something they did that hurt you, being able to be open about it and honest and say, look, this is how I felt about that. Whether it makes them feel good or not, that is good communication, to be able to say, I felt this way about that you did. This is how I took that. Did you mean it that way? And I think a part of being open in communication and openly communicating is to clarify a lot. Clarifying statements are great for communication. When you're saying, okay, I heard this. Did you mean that? Or did you mean it that way that I took it? How did you mean that? Because this is what I heard. And allowing them the chance to then come back and say, no, I didn't mean it that way. I meant this. Or no, I was just trying to get this across to you. Or yes, but I feel that way because of this. And kind of more clarification, more explanation, which then leads to better understanding. So my 5th good habit for good communication is using I statements or focusing on your side of it. So using I statements is something that's said a lot, and especially in the psychology world, they're like, use I statements. Say, I felt this way, because then you're not saying the other person did something. You're not focusing on what the other person did. You're focusing on how what happened made you feel. And you can come across less accusatory if you say it in that way versus you did this and I didn't like it, or you did this and you hurt me. But there's this underlying tone to that that just focuses on your side of it. You can only control your side of it. You can't control their side of it. So being able to say, I feel this way. I took that this way. I interpreted that this way. Brings it into the realm of things that you can control. You can control how you interpret something by getting clarifying statements. Or you can control communicating what you felt. You can't communicate what they felt. You only know so much of what they felt. So that focuses you on your side of it, and that then allows them to focus on their side of it. That I think can create better communication flow, because you are both working on figuring out your side of it, on top of you aren't trying to point out what the other person did or control what the other person does, which never works. So that is it. I thought I would talk about communication because I actually haven't very much before. I'm in the middle as far as communication goes. I think I know myself really well, and I can communicate it well in some moments, but there are others where I very easily get flustered and don't communicate to the best of my ability. So I think it's something everybody can work on, and I thought it would be a fun topic to cover. So if you have any other communication tips or a funny miscommunication story, I would love to hear that in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you in some way. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with everybody. If you are not already subscribed, click the screen and subscribe, and then you can see when the next video comes out, and I will see you guys in that one. Bye!